What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me on a night of a tremendous Celtics blowout. I believe it is their 17th game, I heard, where they won by 20 or more points. And tonight they win by a final score of 117-94 over the Chicago Bulls in Chicago. A little payback for the last time they played the Bulls and they blew a huge lead. And that's sort of all you need to know is that version of the Celtics, it seems dead and buried, and this version of the Celtics blows good teams out. And that's what the Chicago Bulls are. They're 45 and 35. They have a guy who is a MVP candidate for most of this year, will make an All NBA team in DeMar DeRozan. They have Zach LaVine, who's an All Star, Nikola Vucevic, who's a former All Star. And then obviously Lonzo Ball is out for the rest of the season, and so they're missing a key piece there. But they had a lot of their main pieces and just got destroyed by the Celtics in every possible way. The Celtics dominated this game, and really now what you're doing is, as the season coming to a close rapidly, and the Celtics have two games remaining on the schedule before the playoffs. All you're really doing is standing watching at this point because, like we've talked about many, many times over on this show and on the Pick and Roll NBA podcast I do with John Sapichetti, the Eastern Conference is so tight, and every game amongst these jumbled top contenders, it has a direct impact on seeding. So, the Celtics were playing Chicago tonight, and you were looking ahead to see, okay, well, what's going to happen in the Brooklyn, New York game, because we're looking to see, is Brooklyn going to be in that play-in game for just a one game elimination, or are they going to be in the two game elimination version? um, where they have to win two games. We'll have to see. Um, and so you're looking at that game tonight. You're looking to see what Atlanta did. They won. Brooklyn won. Both of those teams won, by the way. See how that shakes out. The rest of the Celtics competition in the East didn't, in terms of seeding, didn't play tonight. So what you have right now is, let me pull up the standings. With again 2 games left for the Celtics. The standings in the East before we get into the box score look like this right now. And again, this can change in a heartbeat. In fact, the Celtics right now are a half game ahead of Milwaukee because they've played one more than Milwaukee, and the Celtics and the Bucks play tomorrow. So whoever wins that game, uh, not guarantees themselves the 2 seed, but they put themselves in a really, really good spot to get the 2 seed, which the Celtics are at right now, again, by virtue of their half a game up on Milwaukee. Miami looks like they're pretty much set at the 1 seed. They're 52 and 28, so they have a 2 game lead. I believe they have 2 games left to play. Yep, 52 and 28. That equals 80. So they have 2 games left to play. So they would have to lose out, and the Celtics have to win out, as would Milwaukee, for those two, or Philadelphia, for those two teams to catch up. Yeah, exactly. So so right now it looks like Miami's going to be the 1 seed, but in terms of the rest of it, Boston's 50 and 30 at 2, Milwaukee's 49 and 30 at 3, Philadelphia's 49 and 30 at 4. So the Celtics could end up anywhere from 2 to 4. Ended today, again, Celtics would be the 2 seed. They would play the 7 seed, which is going to be the winner of the, right now, what it would be is the Cavaliers Nets game. The Cavaliers are pre-settled at that 7th spot, which means they'd play the 8 seed. Whoever wins that game becomes the 7th seed. Atlanta and Brooklyn have the same record. I think Brooklyn owns the tiebreaker on them. So the Celtics obviously are rooting for Brooklyn to be that 8 seed and not the 7th seed. Ideally, I think they'd want to avoid them in the first round, though. Based on how the two teams have been playing recently, the Celtics are certainly capable of beating them, though I can't imagine a more difficult first round opponent of the likely opponents that they'd have to play than Brooklyn. So again, right now the Celtics would play either Brooklyn or Cleveland if the season ended today. Certainly, Cleveland seems to be much more a manageable task. If the Celtics were to drop down to the 3 seed and lose to Milwaukee tomorrow, the game's in Milwaukee, and I think that they're going to play their whole team, so that's entirely possible. Should be a good game if both teams do decide, in fact, to play their whole rosters. Then the Celtics would play the Bulls, who are currently the 6th seed, who they played tonight and decimated. So just to give you an idea of what your potential opponent is, you could be playing with Brooklyn, which obviously is the great unknown because they have two superstars in Kyrie and Durant. But they're the lower seed in Chicago, who again is a good team and been a good team most of the year, has been not playing great recently, and you just blew them out in their own building tonight. So who do you feel more confident playing? I'd say Chicago. Again, I don't think it's impossible they could beat Brooklyn, but it would be a tall task. And I don't know that the Celtics would be favored in that series. It might end up being a pick 'em. You wouldn't have Rob Williams available in that series, and that really changes it. If I would feel a lot more confident if Rob Williams was playing, say, okay, we could stop the Nets from getting to the rim. We could stop Kyrie specifically from getting to the rim. That's going to really, really pay a big dividend. But you also saw with the Nets, I think earlier in the week or over the weekend, they played, I believe it was the Hawks. Kevin Durant and Kyrie combined for like something ridiculous, like 86 points, and they lost. So, they can both go off on you and the team can still lose. So it will be an interesting series. And obviously, there's the whole Kyrie factor in the Celtics rivalry. But there's no point in talking about who the opponent's going to be right now because so much is left unsettled. Again, with 2 games left to play, all we know is that tonight the Celtics more than took care of business, crushing the Bulls. Again, final score 117-94. Let's get into the box score here. Starters for the Celtics tonight were Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Daniel Tice, Marcus Smart, and Jaylen Brown. Celtics went with a little bit of a different look, starting Tice as opposed to Grant Williams. They've been rotating those guys in for the injured Rob Williams, and Tice did an excellent job tonight. We'll get to his numbers in a second. So Tatum, 30 minutes, 5 of 18 from the floor. Did not shoot the 3 ball well, 1 of 8 from 3. 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, a block, and 16 points. Did not have to play a lot of minutes tonight. None of the starters had to play a lot of minutes tonight, though they did play Jaylen Brown 35, which is helpful because again they're playing tomorrow night against the Bucks. So second night of back-to-back, having your best players get extra rest, that's always a good thing. While Tatum didn't shoot the ball excellently tonight, he made a huge impact on the boards with 10 and obviously diming it out with 8 assists. Al Horford played tremendous tonight. 30 minutes, perfect 7 of 7 from the floor, 3 of 3 from 3, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a block, 17 points. He was dominant. It was a dominant Al Horford game. Go figure that. But he's had a really, really nice season. And he's been a key to the Celtics turnaround, especially defensively and moving the ball. He's just so good at moving the ball on the perimeter for a big man. You don't even realize the stuff that he does, setting little screens. He can play, at the basket. He can play at the 3-point line. He really does a lot of things. He's just a really, really good basketball player. Daniel Tice, again, I said he filled in really well, and I meant it. 6 for 12 from the floor in 30 minutes, 1 of 4 from 3, 2 of 2 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, an assist, and 15 points. He did foul out of this game, but that's okay. They were dominating the whole way. Marcus Smart, fine, nothing great, but didn't have to do all that much tonight. Only 26 minutes for Marcus. 3 of 7 from the floor, 3 of 6 from 3. So all of his makes were from 3. 2 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, a block, and 9 points. And Jaylen Brown led the way, scoring in this game with 25 points in 35 minutes, 10 of 21 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 3 of 6 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, and a block. And then as far as the bench goes, just 3 guys played major minutes off the bench as the Celtics continue to go with a strong 8-man rotation. The usual suspects: Grant Williams, 26 minutes, 1 of 2 from the floor, 1 of 1 from 3, hit both of his free throws, 2 rebounds, an assist, a steal, a block, and 5 points. You'd like to see a little bit more rebounding from Grant Williams in 26 minutes, but considering he is not going to get you any offensive rebounds really because he's playing on the perimeter, it's okay. He played fine tonight. It wasn't great, but he did what they needed him to do. Again, no real urgency when you're blowing a team out. Derek White played very well off the bench tonight. 23 minutes, 4 of 8 from the floor, 1 of 2 from 3. Didn't shoot free throws well, though. 1 of 4 from the free throw line there. A rebound, 3 assists, and 10 points. And Peyton Pritchard did what he does, and he hit 3 threes tonight. 18 minutes, 3 of 7 from the floor, 3 of 5 from three, 1 assist and 9 points. And then some other guys got in garbage time. Broderick Thomas scored 3 points in 4 minutes. Aaron Neesmith played 5 minutes. And he put up 8 points in 5 minutes. Good to see Neesmith play well, as he's really just completely fallen out of the rotation. Sam Hauser attempted a three. He missed it. Malik Fitz, no points in 3 minutes. And Luke Cornett, no points in 6 minutes. And that all results in the Celtics just decimating the Bulls 117-94. They improved to 50-30. So the Celtics are officially in the books with a 50-win season, something that seemed laughable in December. I mean, literally, I would have said you're an insane person. You were a QAnon person. But hey, they did it. And, congratulations to them. The players deserve an insane amount of credit. Ime Udoka deserves an insane amount of credit. And we'll see what this team can do in the playoffs, because that's really the story of the season right now is their turnaround. But how people remember the season is going to be how they play in the playoffs. If they wash out in the first round, the season's a failure. The turnaround doesn't really mean all that much. Maybe it helps a little bit towards next season, but it's the Boston Celtics. You're expected to win in the playoffs. And this team has been playing so well for 3 months now that anything other than winning a round and then going to 7 games, I think, in the second round, bare minimum, that should be the expectation. And I think it's a reasonable expectation. So we'll have to see what they do. The Celtics' last 2 games are tomorrow and Sunday. Tomorrow, again, they play the Bucks. Sunday, they play the Grizzlies. And then we will wait who their opponent will be. If they are the 3, 4, 5 seed, we will know. If they are the 1 or 2 seed, we won't know yet. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But I'll be breaking down the rest of the games. Sorry I wasn't here for the past couple of games. Had a family thing. Couldn't do the live post games, but I'm back now. So I appreciate you guys all watching. Let's check out what Leonard says in the chat. My main man, Leonard Kim. I don't expect them to win tomorrow night's game at all. The matchup of the first round still matters tremendously for the Celtics. Yeah, tomorrow, obviously, if you've heard me do this show or the other show, I think the Bucks are the best team in the Eastern Conference. So playing Milwaukee and beating Milwaukee in Milwaukee that's a tall task. It's a big ask, especially on the second night of a back-to-back, when Milwaukee is off tonight, so they get rest. That being said, the way the Celtics have played, there's no reason to think that they can't win any game at this point, and which again sounds comical based off of they could have lost any game early in the season, didn't matter who they played, and they did. But yeah, it's certainly it'll be a big ask. I'm not sure because I haven't been following it the past day or so, what Milwaukee's plan is in terms of how many minutes they're going to play their best players. Are they going to rest any of their best players? What they're trying to do with seeding, based off of what I know about the culture of the Bucks and Giannis, is I would expect them to play hard and play at full strength and treat it like a meaningful game as it is. And that I don't think either of these teams are actively trying to avoid the Nets. A lot of other teams I think are, specifically the Sixers, and I think the Heat were, but have kind of fallen ass backwards in the first place, if you can do that. Yeah, I mean, they certainly it's a big game with seeding implications. And I think a lot of Celtics fans feel differently. I think some want the challenge of playing Brooklyn and being able to send Kyrie packing from the playoffs. I think that's something that is really intriguing, and would bring about a big sense of vindication for the Celtics. I think other fans feel like I don't want to play a team that could knock us out in the first round and have this all be for nothing and the season come to an end much faster than people are expecting. So it's all stuff that we'll have to talk about when we know the opponent. But until then, you're just speculating because there's plenty of teams the Celtics could face right now. We don't know who it's going to be. So all the Celtics can do is continue to play good basketball, and when they find out who they're going to play, go into that mindset of okay, doesn't matter who it is, we're going to do what we do, and hopefully they keep playing this way, because if they play the way they played tonight, they have a good chance of coming out of the East. Period. Uh, I think that's hard to do consistently over a 7-game series against a good team, especially without Rob Williams. But you saw tonight, you did play a good team. You didn't play a team that maybe is a legitimate contender, but you played a good team. You play them on the road, you play them without Rob Williams, and you kick their asses. So I think this was a big win in terms of confidence boosting for the Celtics. That said, okay, we can still blow out a team without Rob Williams. We can still put the clamps on them defensively. We can still score a ton of points. So I think that matters. And all these games down the stretch matter. And so we got two more left, and I'll be back to cover them. So I appreciate you, Leonard, commenting. I appreciate everybody watching, whether you're watching live or after the fact. Appreciate if you leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Thanks to everybody, and we will see what the Celtics do with their last two games of the regular season as we get ready for the playoffs. Exciting times, which it didn't seem like it was going to be. It seemed like it was going to be a slog to the end, but instead, going into the playoffs with some optimism, which is great. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. See you, everybody.